The sunlit studio of The View buzzed with its usual early morning energy. Coffee cups clinked, makeup was touched up last minute, and producers whispered into headsets as the theme music rolled. Jennifer Connelly sat calmly in her chair, hands folded neatly in her lap, her soft features reflecting both warmth and precision. She had arrived early, having prepared to speak passionately about her latest film, The Silent Light, a deeply personal story touching on grief, mental illness, and motherhood. It wasn't just another press stop for her. The movie, she had said in previous interviews, had demanded emotional truth from her in a way no role ever had. It was the kind of film that didn't just entertain, it lingered. As the cameras began to roll, the show opened on a lighthearted note, with Joy Behar cracking a few jokes about politics and Whoopi offering her trademark eye rolls. Jennifer smiled politely through the small talk, waiting for the real conversation to begin. Then came the shift. "So Jennifer," Joy began, crossing her legs and leaning in slightly, "your new film dives into some really heavy stuff, mental illness, isolation, postpartum depression. It's intense. Do you ever worry that Hollywood is sort of capitalizing on trauma to win awards?" The air around the table changed, just subtly. Jennifer tilted her head slightly, surprised. "I wouldn't say we're capitalizing on anything," she said carefully. "I think these stories matter because they reflect real human experiences. We tell them so people feel less alone." Joy raised an eyebrow. "Sure, but isn't there a line between raising awareness and just wallowing in pain for dramatic effect?" Jennifer's expression shifted, just enough for the audience to notice. Her voice remained calm, but firmer now. "It's not wallowing when it's real. When a woman is struggling with depression after childbirth, or when someone is dealing with the death of a loved one, it's not drama. It's life. And I think it's brave to put that on screen." There was a pause, but Joy wasn't done. "I just think people are tired," Joy said, chuckling under her breath. "Every year there's another sad indie movie where someone cries in a kitchen and wins a trophy. Aren't audiences craving a little more hope?" Jennifer's lips tightened. She took a breath. "You might be surprised what people crave. Sometimes, hope starts with seeing your pain reflected, seeing that you're not invisible." Whoopi glanced between them, sensing the growing friction. Sarah Haynes fidgeted beside her, clearly uncomfortable. Even Sunny Hostin, who had stayed quiet, looked up with a concerned expression. Joy leaned back, amused. "I just think we've gone a bit too far with the trauma equals prestige thing. It's like sad equals serious, and anything joyful is dismissed as fluff. It's not balanced. And I think you're oversimplifying it," Jennifer replied, sharper now. "You're reducing a nuanced, vulnerable performance to some cynical awards play. That's not critique. That's disrespect." The audience gave a low, audible reaction. Joy laughed again, but this time it sounded more defensive. "Whoa, okay. Touchy. Much." Jennifer blinked slowly. Her jaw clenched for a moment before she rose from her seat. "Touchy," she repeated quietly, her voice just above a whisper, but it carried. The studio fell still. "I came here to talk about something meaningful," she said, standing tall, her eyes locked on Joy. "About the things women endure silently. The invisible burdens. The kind of pain that doesn't get applause. But if this is just going to be a game of provocation, then no, I'm not playing." She glanced at the producers off camera. "Thank you for the invitation. But I think I've said enough." With that, Jennifer stepped away from the table. Her heels echoed across the studio floor, striking louder than anything else in that moment. The camera panned awkwardly as she disappeared behind the curtain, her back straight, her composure unshaken. The hosts were left blinking in silence. Joy stared ahead, lips parted slightly, as if unsure what had just happened. The audience sat stunned. It wasn't just drama, it was real. Raw. A moment not rehearsed, not softened for television. Jennifer Connelly had walked away, not in anger, but in quiet conviction. And something in the room had shifted. Backstage, Jennifer Connelly moved swiftly down the corridor, her heart still pounding, though her face remained composed. A crew member caught up to her, asking in a hushed voice if she wanted to sit in the green room or speak to a producer. She shook her head politely. "No, thank you. I think I'll just head out." She wasn't angry, at least, not in the explosive way some might have expected. What she felt was deeper. A hollow ache of disappointment. She had come to the View to speak about The Silent Light because it mattered to her. Not just as a performer, but as a woman. The film was based in part on the stories of women she had met, mothers who suffered in silence, friends who were dismissed when they asked for help, Daughters who grew up believing that pain was something you swallowed, not shared. And yet, here she was, having walked off a national talk show because that pain had been reduced to a punchline. Inside the studio, the energy had dropped significantly. The hosts exchanged glances during the break, the tension still fresh in the air. Whoopi finally spoke. Well, that was something, she said, her tone carefully neutral. Sarah Haynes tried to lighten the moment. Live TV, right? But even she couldn't mask the unease in her voice. Joy Behar, unshaken on the surface, reached for her coffee mug and said flatly, "Hey, I asked a question." She didn't like it. That's showbiz. But online, the narrative was rapidly spinning out of her control. By the time the episode ended, social media was flooded with clips of Jennifer's calm but powerful exit. Fans and casual viewers alike were siding with her, calling out Joy's dismissiveness and praising Jennifer for standing up for authenticity in art. Hashtags like #StandWithJennifer, #TheViewControversy, and #Silentlight deserves better were all trending within the hour. Tweets ranged from outraged to inspired. Greater than, Jennifer Connelly walking out with grace and dignity. That's how you handle disrespect. Joy Behar really just called mental illness in film manipulative. What year is this? Thank you at Jennifer Connelly for making us feel seen. You didn't need to stay where you weren't respected. Meanwhile, several mental health organizations released public statements supporting Jennifer's stance and thanking her for using her platform to highlight emotional struggles that are often stigmatized or misunderstood. The film's producers saw a 300% spike in digital rentals overnight. Small art house theaters even began rerunning the film, encouraged by the attention. Jennifer released a brief but heartfelt message on Instagram that evening. It was a black screen with white text, nothing flashy, just sincere. Greater than, to every person who's ever felt unseen, unheard, or dismissed, this film was for you. We tell these stories not to exploit pain, but to honor truth. Thank you for reminding me why we keep going, even when the world isn't always ready to listen. Her post was shared over 100,000 times in 24 hours. Back at The View, the backlash was more than the producers had expected. Internally, meetings were held to discuss what had gone wrong. Some staff reportedly voiced concerns that the show had become too focused on confrontation and viral moments, rather than genuine dialogue. A few days later, Sunny Hostin addressed the controversy delicately during an episode. I think what happened with Jennifer was unfortunate, she said. She came in peace, and we didn't meet her there. That's something we need to sit with. Sarah nodded. She was trying to speak from a place of honesty. That deserves respect. Joy, for her part, didn't offer an apology. She claimed on another show later that week, I've been in this business too long to worry every time a guest gets offended. People are too sensitive. But her remarks didn't help her image. Many viewers began calling for more thoughtful conversations, especially when it came to topics like mental health, grief, and emotional trauma. As for Jennifer, she kept quiet in the days that followed, declining interview requests and letting the work speak for itself. She was seen attending a quiet film screening in Brooklyn the following weekend, smiling gently as fans approached her to say thank you. One woman, older, with a shaky voice, clasped Jennifer's hand and said, I watched your film with my daughter. She's been struggling for years. And for the first time, she said she felt understood. Jennifer's eyes misted, but she said nothing, just hugged the woman tightly. She hadn't needed The View to validate her message. The people who needed it had already heard her loud and clear. And that was more than enough.